You're scrolling through your phone, Tuesday night, lying in bed, and you see it. The new iPhone announcement. Better camera, faster processor, new features. Your phone is 2 years old. Works perfectly fine. Does everything you need it to do. Battery still lasts most of the day. No cracks, no problems. But you're already thinking about it. Already calculating whether you can afford the upgrade. Already feeling like your phone is old, outdated, behind. And here's the weird part. Nothing is broken. Nothing stopped working. You're not replacing a broken phone. You're replacing a working phone with a newer working phone. And you're about to spend $1,000 to do it. And it's not just phones. Your laptop is 3 years old. Runs fine. But the new model is thinner, lighter, faster. Your car is 4 years old. No issues. But the new model has better features. Your furniture is perfectly functional. But you saw something nicer at West Elm. Nothing is broken. But you're constantly replacing things anyway. And every replacement costs money you could have saved or invested. Money that disappears into an endless cycle of upgrades that never ends. My name's Peter, and if you've ever bought something new to replace something that still worked, and you want to understand why we're all trapped in this upgrade cycle that's costing thousands of dollars a year, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because the constant replacement of perfectly functional things isn't about need, it's about a manufactured obsolescence mindset that keeps you spending forever. So let's start with what the upgrade cycle actually costs when you track it over a typical year. You're making $65,000. After taxes, about $4,100 take home monthly. And you're doing what everyone does, upgrading things on a regular cycle whether they're broken or not. Phone, every 2 years, $1,000 each time. Average monthly cost, $42. Laptop, every 3 years, $1,200 each time. Average monthly cost, $33. Car, every 5 years. You trade in for something newer even though yours works fine. The upgrade cost after trade-in value, about $8,000. Average monthly cost, $133. Furniture, you replace a major piece every year. Couch, bed, dresser, dining table. Average $800 annually. Monthly cost, $67. Wardrobe upgrades. You don't replace everything, but you're constantly adding new clothes and cycling out perfectly good older items. About $1,200 annually. Monthly cost, $100. Kitchen appliances and gadgets. You upgrade your coffee maker, get an air fryer, replace your blender, buy new pots and pans. About $600 annually. Monthly cost, $50. Total monthly cost of replacing things before they break, $425. That's $5,100 a year. Over 10 years, $51,000. Over 20 years, $102,000. And here's what's brutal. Almost none of these things needed to be replaced. Your 2-year-old phone worked. Your 3-year-old laptop worked. Your 4-year-old car worked. Your furniture worked. Your clothes worked. You spent $102,000 over 20 years replacing things that functioned perfectly fine. And if you had instead used those things until they actually broke and invested the $425 monthly difference, you'd have about $220,000 at 7% returns. The difference between replace when broken and replace on a regular upgrade cycle is $220,000 in lifetime wealth. Most people think upgrading regularly is smart. You're staying current, you're maintaining value, you're keeping up with technology and trends, you're not getting left behind. That's not how it works. Here's what actually happens when you upgrade on a cycle instead of when things break. You're training your brain to see functional items as obsolete. A 2-year-old phone that works perfectly becomes old because a new one exists. A 3-year-old laptop becomes slow because a faster one is available. A 5-year-old car becomes outdated because newer models have better features. But here's the thing. The functionality hasn't changed. Your phone does the same things it did yesterday. Your laptop runs the same programs at the same speed. Your car drives the same routes just as reliably. What changed is your perception. The existence of something newer makes what you have feel inferior, and that feeling drives upgrading behavior that has nothing to do with need. This is how the consumer electronics industry, the automotive industry, the furniture industry, the fashion industry, basically every consumer goods industry stays profitable. They don't need your current item to break, they just need you to feel like it's obsolete. And they've engineered entire marketing systems around creating that feeling. Every product launch is positioned as revolutionary. Every new feature is essential. Every design change is presented as making the old version look dated. The message is clear. If you're not on the latest, you're behind. And nobody wants to feel behind. So you upgrade, not because you need to, because you feel like you're supposed to. There's a psychological mechanism that makes this particularly powerful. It's called the novelty-seeking treadmill, and it works like this. You buy the new phone. For about 2 weeks, it feels great. It's faster, it's shinier, the camera is better. You feel like you made a good decision. You feel current, up to date. Then you adapt. The new phone becomes your normal phone. The better camera becomes expected. The faster processor becomes standard. And the dopamine hit you got from the upgrade fades completely. And then maybe 6 months later, you start seeing ads for the next model, and you start feeling that pull again. That sense that what you have is already getting old, that maybe you should start thinking about the next upgrade. This cycle repeats forever. New thing, brief satisfaction, adaptation, desire for next new thing. You're never satisfied with what you have for long because your brain is wired to seek novelty, and companies are engineered to provide it on a predictable schedule. The phone makers release annually, the car makers release annually, the laptop makers release annually, the fashion industry releases seasonally. There's always something new to make what you have feel old. And here's what this costs beyond just the money. It costs you the ability to ever feel content with what you have, because contentment requires the absence of comparison, and you're constantly comparing what you own to what's new.
Let's look at what this macro view of the trap costs across different product categories over a lifetime. Phones. Upgrade every 2 years from age 22 to 62. That's 20 upgrades at an average of $1,000 each. $20,000 spent on phones. Meanwhile, someone who uses phones until they actually break, usually 4 to 5 years, spends about $8,000 over the same period. Difference? $12,000. Laptops. Upgrade every 3 years versus using until broken, usually 6 to 8 years. Over 40 years, $16,000 versus $7,000. Difference? $9,000. Cars. Trade in every 5 years versus driving until major problems, usually 12 to 15 years. This is the big one. Over 40 years, the upgrade cycle person spends roughly $160,000 on vehicles and trade-ins. The drive it till it dies person spends about $60,000. Difference? $100,000. Furniture. Replace major pieces every 3 to 5 years versus every 15 to 20 years. Over 40 years, $32,000 versus $12,000. Difference? $20,000. Total lifetime cost of the upgrade cycle across just these categories, $141,000 in excess spending. And that's conservative. That's just the big categories. That doesn't include clothes, kitchen items, home decor, gadgets, all the small constant upgrades. If you had kept things until they broke and invested the difference, about $300 monthly over 40 years at 7% returns, you'd have approximately $720,000. The person who upgrades on schedule has stuff that's slightly newer at any given time. The person who uses things until they break has $720,000 more in net worth. Same career, same income, completely different financial outcomes. All because one person asked, "Does this still work?" and the other asked, "Is there something better?" You're at home, Sunday afternoon. You're looking at your laptop. It's 3 years old, runs fine, does everything you need. But it's a little slower than when you first got it, and you've been seeing ads for the new model. Thinner, lighter, better screen. You're doing the mental math. Can you afford it? Your credit card has room. You could do a payment plan, spread it over 12 months, $120 a month.
You're telling yourself it's an investment. Better tools make you more productive. The new laptop will help you work better. It's not just a want, it's a need. But there's this small voice in your head asking, does your current laptop prevent you from doing anything you need to do? And the honest answer is no. It's just not as fast as the new one. It's just not as shiny. And that tightness in your chest, it's the realization that you're about to spend $1,400 on something you don't need to replace something that works. And you've done this before, and you'll probably do it again, because this is just what you do every few years. So here's how people who actually accumulate wealth think about replacing things. They have one rule: use it until it breaks or until it genuinely can't perform the function you need. When their phone slows down, they don't upgrade. They delete apps, clear storage, replace the battery if needed. They keep using it. When the phone actually breaks or becomes so slow it's genuinely unusable, then they replace it, usually after 5 to 6 years. When their laptop gets slower, they don't buy a new one. They add RAM, replace the hard drive with an SSD, reinstall the operating system. They extend its life. When it actually can't run the software they need or breaks beyond repair, then they replace it, usually after 7 to 10 years. When their car hits 60,000 miles, they don't trade it in. They maintain it, change the oil, replace wear items, fix what breaks. They drive it until major repairs would cost more than the car's worth, usually 12 to 15 years or 180,000 plus miles. And here's the key: they don't feel deprived doing this. They don't feel like they're sacrificing, because they've rejected the idea that newer automatically equals better, or that keeping up with release cycles matters. They look at their 3-year-old phone and think, this does everything I need. Why would I replace it? They look at their 6-year-old laptop and think, it runs all my software. What would I gain by upgrading? They look at their 8-year-old car and think, it's reliable. It gets me where I need to go. What's the benefit of a newer one? And by thinking this way, they keep thousands of dollars every year that would have gone to upgrades. And that money compounds. After 10 years of avoiding unnecessary upgrades, they've got $60,000 invested. After 20 years, $220,000. Meanwhile, their peers who upgraded on schedule have slightly newer stuff and $3,800 in savings. Same income, different frameworks, wildly different outcomes. Now let me be clear about something. There are times when upgrading before something breaks makes sense. If your phone is so slow it's genuinely impacting your work, if your car is becoming unreliable and leaving you stranded, if your laptop can't run software you need for your job. But those situations are rare. Most upgrades aren't driven by genuine need. They're driven by the feeling that newer is better and the fear of falling behind. And that feeling is expensive because better has diminishing returns. The difference between a broken phone and a working phone is infinite. The difference between a working 2-year-old phone and a working new phone is marginal. Maybe slightly faster, maybe slightly better camera, but the utility gap is tiny. Yet people spend $1,000 to cross that tiny utility gap, while the massive utility gap, having a working phone versus not having one, would cost $300 for a budget device. The upgrade cycle isn't about function. It's about feeling current, and feeling current is expensive. So here's the thing about replacing everything before it breaks. It's not about the individual purchase. Any single purchase feels reasonable. $1,000 for a new phone every 2 years seems normal. $1,200 for a new laptop every 3 years seems fine. But when you add them all up over a lifetime, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on upgrades that don't meaningfully improve your life. You're trading actual financial security for the feeling of being current. And the companies selling you these things know this. They've built entire business models around planned upgrade cycles. They know you'll replace your phone in 2 years, even if it still works. They know you'll trade in your car in 5 years, even if it's reliable. They know you'll buy new furniture every few years, even if the old stuff is fine. They're counting on it, and you keep delivering. You can participate in the endless upgrade cycle and always have the latest stuff and no wealth. Or you can use things until they break and have dated stuff and compound wealth. Most people choose the latest stuff. The ones who build wealth choose compound returns over perceived obsolescence. If you want to see the ultimate example of this trap, and exactly how the system is designed to make you lose $50,000 replacing a car that still drives perfectly fine, click the video on your screen right now. Stop optimizing for the upgrade and start optimizing for your freedom. I'll see you there.